Great to be here with everybody. It's a really exciting week, and the direct-to-device story has been one that's been developing kind of slowly over the last couple of years, and then really fast. And the good news is that Vodafone's been with us really since the beginning. We were founded in 2017. Vodafone's really been with us since 2018, has invested 3 times, and most recently put together the JV with us that we announced this morning. So we are all, the way to think about us is we are the direct-to-device solution, which means that our satellites in orbit can talk directly to the phone in your pocket, backwards compatible with cellular broadband. And so this is really a fascinating technology and really transformational for the operator and what it can do. It varies a lot by geography, and so the use cases in Europe are different than the use cases in the US than in Africa. But basically, we are building this network. We have really novel tech in orbit. We have a network of about 50 operator partners globally, and we're also publicly traded in the United States. And today we're flying 5 of the largest satellites in low Earth orbit. So you may think of low Earth orbit and say, well, I can get service at my vacation house with a satellite dish. This is the phone in your pocket. So it's a really differentiated go-to-market strategy, differentiated tech, and we're really excited to be doing it with Vodafone here in Europe and with AT&T and Verizon in the United States.
Super. So, as Scott mentioned, we made an announcement this morning where we're going to be creating a new venture together to bring this service not just to Vodafone markets, to beyond our markets to other MNOs across the footprint. One of the things that we love to talk about is that AST SpaceMobile antennas in the sky, which is really important to us in Europe because it allows us to offer a sovereign network. I was just wondering, Scott, if you could talk a little bit more to that new architecture.
Yeah, one of the cool things about us is from the beginning, we developed this network to be cellular friendly. So it's a purpose-built network for direct-to-device, for cellular networks. And that isn't just a catchphrase. That means that they have been in the room with us, building, designing, developing, testing the technology. And importantly, the way we're integrated on the backhaul in the RAN is very unique. And so basically, we are the radio head, and we use the same baseband and the same core. And that architecture is co-owned and co-run with the operators. So we are obviously the radio head, we deliver the network, but the operator has the RAN. And so that means that we're just a transparent digital repeater. We don't see the traffic, we don't touch the traffic, it goes up in your country, it comes down in your country, so it's very friendly to operators, it's very friendly to regulators, and that's the basis for the tech, and one of the real reasons that the cellular partners are so excited about the tech, because it's not only lighting up spectrum that they're not otherwise using, or connecting their users and giving a better service that they wouldn't otherwise have, but it's also doing so in a way that the operator can control. And that's key to the announcement we had today, which is that this offering, as it'll be distributed in Europe, will be very much a European sovereign solution, which is really an incredible way to leverage this technology in a way that's very friendly to Europe.
Sure, and we're immensely grateful to Nokia as well, who have been a massive part of that collaboration, another great European innovator. So, the distances are massive compared to the distances that we have terrestrially, Scott. Can you talk a little bit about how this works? How do the radio waves get from hundreds of kilometers up down to cell phone that you carry in your pocket today?
Yeah, and this is a little easier to explain today than it was 5 years ago, because many of you might have a phone that has a little satellite icon on it sometimes, and that's because texting or providing an emergency service is something that's kind of become semi-commonplace on new phones. But we are delivering broadband, and we're doing it in a native cellular platform because it's through the RAN. So it's not just an add-on for text or emergencies. It is literally any service that the operator and us want to deliver to the user base, we can run broadband all the way down. And so stuff just works, which is very important. And what was the second part of the question?
How the radio's got to reach.
So the fact that it's working is kind of a real de-risking, right? Because people can see it work, which is great. But essentially, we have the largest objects in low Earth orbit. So basically, this entire crowd is the size of our small satellites. Our big satellites will be 3 times the size of that. And in RF, the size of the array is what defines the quality of the signal relative to the distance, as well as the throughput, which translates to broadband. So essentially, we've got these enormous objects in orbit that we're able to put there based on our 3,500 patent pending claims, and we're able to deliver to the phone in your pocket with a good high-quality signal that you don't have to wait in the sky for. So it really comes down to the technology in orbit and then the ground implementation that we've developed with the operators over the last 5 years.
Fabulous. So what's it going to feel like to be a customer or end user of this service, whether you or me today with our iPhones or an IoT customer or a corporate customer?
Well, the goal is that it's going to feel just like a regular service, right? And what we're trying to eliminate is that friction that you experience in your life when the phone doesn't work. Because one of the saddest things I think of the last 30 years is that the operators like Vodafone have created this incredible service. We have the world's information in our pocket today, and yet when it doesn't work, you're upset and mad at them, which is crazy because you should be on your knees thanking them for this gift. But something we've noticed is this: when you get this last 1 or 2 or 10%, or you connect that user who's not otherwise connected, it's a very powerful marketing point, and it's a very powerful emotional moment because now the phone just works. And I'm not just talking about emergencies where it's life or death, and certainly that matters, but just the very fact that the phone that you've probably paid a lot for, the ARPU that you pay monthly a lot for, you're getting really a lot of extra value out of it. So the user experience we expect will be parallel to the cellular experience that you have today across a number of different use cases. But the key differentiator, I think, is that you now know that your phone will always work. And those moments when the phone doesn't work and you're upset are gone. And so it's very valuable for the operator because we can deliver that experience to their customers. And it's very valuable to the customer because as you do the analysis, I was just talking with GSMA earlier today on the analysis they've published, they found 60% of users across a 10-country segment will pay more for this service. And as you get down to the bottom, kind of single digit, there's people who will pay a lot because their phones just don't work based on where they are or the kind of use cases they have. So it's going to be very, very fascinating. And the reason why this has been so exciting for customers, consumers, as well as the operators is because this is like, an incredible solve. It's a technology solve that is unparalleled. We can fill in all the cracks, all the dead zones, and that's has a lot of value.
Yeah, for sure. We've been on the journey now, technically since 2018, and probably commercially now for about 2.5 years.
So Tom, let me ask you again. So how does Vodafone think about this opportunity? What excites you?
There you go. So that's a good way of putting it. So we're hugely excited by the opportunity, as I was saying. We've been on the technical journey since 2018, and probably the commercial journey now for the last couple of years. And we've started talking to our customers about this, and working with our partner markets organisation as well to talk to their customers. And this is really exciting. It is a game changer. It allows us as operators to create a promise that we can keep. A promise that if you see the sky, you will get 5 bars of coverage. And what's really interesting is this is driving something with our customers that we haven't necessarily seen or been able to solve for before. The need for constant connectivity, it isn't necessarily rational. As we all know, those moments when we're disconnected, they're not normally for that long. Like when you're traveling, it might be just for 30 seconds, or you might be in a signal black spot. But that need, that irrational need or nomophobia is really, really interesting as an opportunity for us, and it will allow us to finally solve for a key customer pain point and offer that promise of ubiquitous coverage.
One other question I have for you. So how do you think about the use case in Europe versus Africa versus maybe the rest of the world? Because as we sell the use case around the world, we find it varies a lot by market, and as it should. This is a $1 trillion market that's been created that we walk around the halls and we see the cellular market, the 5.8 billion phones in our pocket, but it's very different when it goes by geography. So I guess we just announced Europe this morning. I'm curious, how should Europeans think about this, given population density and different dynamics?
Yeah, for sure. It is going to vary hugely depending on territory. So you look at large parts of the US and even certain parts of Europe, and Turkey is a good example of this, where we do have large geographical coverage hotspots. But as we look at some of our other key markets, it is a case of just filling those dead zones, or critically providing that element of disaster recovery. In the island of Ireland, a number of months ago, we had quite a significant amount of storm damage, took out a lot of our RAN network, and it does take time. It takes time to recover the network. But the beauty of the AST solution is it's just a case of refarming that spectrum in real time, and we're able to very quickly move that capacity over onto AST's system and continue to serve for our customers. So there's obviously the disaster recovery scenario. There are going to be certain scenarios for IoT as well. So IoT clearly today is where there's no terrestrial coverage, having to rely on VSAT solutions or other LEO data solutions. But the reality is they just don't need the level of bandwidth and capacity that is on offer from those services. And we're able to offer a service that is near similar to the unit economics and performance that they'd see on a standard IoT service. That's exciting as well. But then the final point, I think, the point we were kind of making around the interest we're getting from our customers, is that ability to provide that assurance in that promise, whether that's as part of the customer's kind of overarching price plan, but also we see that it will also be in a moment of customer's need. So we'll see the buying journeys associated with buying satellite will be more like when you're buying in-flight Wi-Fi, or when you're buying Wi-Fi access in a remote location. And that's just the nature of how the service operates, and we want to maintain that premium on data. But it's a hugely exciting opportunity, and we're really looking forward to bringing it forward together. So flipping it back the other way, Scott, what do you think are the biggest challenges for us collectively as we bring this to market coming weeks and months?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say the challenges are much lower than they used to be. Ultimately, we're launching a space-based network, so we're on the other side of that in terms of retiring that risk, which is great. So just so you know, we have 2 factories in Texas, and we have global design centers around the world, including several in Europe. And basically, we have the ability to, through vertical integration, build the entire satellite ourselves. And that's not a small effort. So manufacturing is key to our core competency. And so we are launching that network. We're on a schedule in 2025 and 2026 to launch that. We've raised the money, we've secured the launches, we've secured most of the materials, and we have the factory and the know-how to do it. So I would say we typically say the ball is in our court. It's really up to us to execute and with our partners. But I'd say, for us together, is finding a way to how do you roll out the service in the most efficient way? How do you deliver maximal value for the customer? Do you find ways to do it early before you have 24/7 coverage? What markets can you start to make an impact on? And how do you communicate to the customer that this is not a text service, this is not an emergency service, this is broadband, which is, I get frustrated trying to differentiate the two to people because it's a little silly, but we're talking about pagers versus 5G, and those are not the same thing. And so we're very excited about delivering that and finding a way to show that to the customer, the consumer, in a valuable way, and get credit for that, because we should take a victory lap. This is going to be a transformational service for the consumer, and they should know that.
Absolutely sure. And I think just speaking to some of our customer insight, again, messaging is useful, but clearly that's a use case which is increasingly getting solved for in other direct device solutions. Our opportunity working together is to deliver true broadband, because that's what our customers are asking for. And this isn't about being able to stream Netflix halfway up the mountain. This is just about being able to listen to music, use your messaging app of choice, look at maps. It's actually quite basic in many ways, but it requires that full broadband service and an ability to offer it at scale.
And that's why the European venture that we announced this morning is so important, because when we originally partnered with Vodafone, we were thrilled. We couldn't imagine how fortunate we were to have one of the leaders in the cellular ecosystem globally, the largest owner of spectrum, I think, globally, one of the largest operators, maybe even the largest operator outside of China. We were thrilled and couldn't believe how lucky we were. And over time, that's evolved. And now with this venture, we're not just taking a step into Vodafone's home markets or even some of their partner markets. This is about getting access to all of Europe in a very important way, and doing it, frankly, with some turnkey solutions. One of the things with us is we take great pride in the fact that the operator has to develop it with us and own some of the RAN, and that's very valuable, I think, as a sovereign matter and for Vodafone being operators. But at the same time, we now have a turnkey solution that we're implementing with Vodafone that can be rolled out across Europe. And so that's not just going to get us 1 or 2 steps into Europe, it's going to get us 5 steps into Europe. And that's a multi-year plan that I think couldn't be executed with anyone else in Europe except for Vodafone.
Definitely exciting times ahead, and we're looking forward to speaking more about that in the coming weeks. Very good.
Thank you, Tom.
No worries.
Thank you to Vodafone.